Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Lauren Maloney. For the first time in 7 years today, the Vermont legislature elected a new Adjutant General of the Vermont National Guard. Major General Henry Harder, better known as Hank, will step up from his current second-in-command role to become Vermont's new top military official. ABC 22's Matt Holderman was at the State House for the moment General Harder was elected.
The entire Vermont legislature stood up to clap Thursday afternoon, recognizing their pick for Vermont's next Adjutant General, current Brigadier General Hank Harder. By a final vote of 147 to 23, he bested his colleague Colonel Brent Ziegler and is now set to take over in just under 2 weeks when current Adjutant General Gregory Knight leaves his post after a 7-year run. Having worked as Knight's Deputy Adjutant General for the past few years, Harder made sure to find him right afterwards, sharing a hug outside the House chamber.
My intent is to continue the great trajectory that the Vermont National Guard is on and has been on for many years, but certainly General Knight has done a fantastic job.
The election process started with lawmakers officially nominating both Harder and Ziegler, sharing strong arguments on why each of them would be fit to replace Major General Knight, and then casting their ballots one by one.
For over 3 decades, General Harder has embodied the Air Force core values.
The next Adjutant General must understand how these forces interact with Vermont needs. Colonel Ziegler has a plan.
Although the final tally wasn't close following months of campaigning from both of them, Harder and Ziegler showed there are no hard feelings, standing side by side in a show of solidarity that hasn't always happened after past Adjutant General elections.
I will work just as hard for this gentleman as I have for Major General Knight. I owe that to him. I will serve him because now he's our elected leader. I want to congratulate you, sir.
Appreciate that, Colonel Ziegler.
Yes.
Brigadier General Harder will step into the role on March 1st, beginning a 2-year term many say he's been preparing for his whole life. As for Major General Knight, he says he's ready to slow down and enjoy life for a bit, and could see himself returning to the State House in a different role down the road.
I've got 7 years of projects at home to get caught up on, a lot of fishing to do.
In Montpelier, Matt Holderman, ABC 22 News.
And before that election took place this morning, General Knight took to the House floor to share his final State of the Guard address. The Adjutant General talked about how the Guard has changed these last 7 years, saying he focused on building a culture of partnership, accountability, and service. He says while recruitment is still a challenge, retention rates have been fantastic. Knight also reiterated the Guard's responsibility to both the state and country, as hundreds of their members are currently deployed, while others back home are ready to help Vermont when needed. Overall, he says he feels he's left the Guard in a good place and hopes Brigadier General Harder can make it even better.
So thank you to our Guard for placing your trust in me for the past 7 years. The state of our Guard is strong. With your continued partnership, it can be stronger, still more capable, more resilient, and better prepared to serve Vermont and our nation in an increasingly complex world.
Members on both sides of the aisle shared speeches thanking Major General Knight and wishing him well. The final words he shared with the legislature before walking away were, quote, "Put the Vermonters ahead." And Governor Phil Scott today congratulated the soon-to-be leader of the National Guard. In a statement he wrote, quote, "With over 35 years of service, I believe his understanding of the issues facing the Guard and Vermont will help Brigadier General Harder continue to build on the progress made in recent years." He also thanked the retiring General Gregory Knight for his years of leadership.